we'll do them last. We'll do them last, so we've got time to ask all the questions. So we'll do Khaled, then we'll go to you guys, to Punk, and then Soterraño, and then we'll go to one shot at the end. But if you've got questions, then I'll give you all my phone number. You can send them to me and I'll send them forwards. Okay? We'll do that after we've talked to Khaled. We'll start each company, each group, just by asking you to talk a little bit about yourselves as artists. So Khaled and Laura. To talk about yourselves as artists, the company, and to give a bit of context about the show. How you made it, how long you've been working, what you wanted to do with the show, and then we'll open up a conversation. Okay?
Hello, everybody. My name is Mukhalad Rasim. I am theater maker in Belgium. I am original from Iraq. I work in the company of Theater Toneelhuis, the theater in the city of Antwerp, Anvers, in Belgium. I make performance, the video performance, Soul Seekers. I make this performance 2 years ago. I start in the borders of Belgium in the refugee center. I sleep there for 6 weeks. And then after that, I go to Paris, and also in the refugee center of Paris for 1 month. And after that, I go to the Valenciennes, also in French city, and I go to stay there for 3 weeks. And then, 2 years ago, I make this performance, and I met a lot of people in the refugee center. I was just looking for I have a question for the people, and then I was looking for answers with the people. It was not idea to make a film, just to go there and just to speak with the people and to share ideas and how you look to the new life, how you look to the new life, a new reality, because the people go from reality to the another reality. And I ask people, where is your soul? Now people answer me, some people, I don't know where is my soul. And then I make like a laboratorium, how can I say? Laboratory. And people come to the space, and then I paint a lot with the people, and I play with the children there in the refugee center, and I eat with the people, and just I make contact with the people there. And then I start to ask people, can I bring your image and voice to the outside the world? Because the people live in the refugee center, nobody can hear the people, just waiting for a paper. Some people wait for 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. And I want to bring this voice and image to the outside world, and then I make this performance, Soul Seekers. In Flemish, Soul Seekers mean zielzoekers, asielzoekers, and I change it to the zielzoekers. This is from asielzoekers. Yes, and I change it to the zielzoekers. It's not people just looking for the paper, also looking for the new soul to start a new life. This is really very small things to tell you about that, how I make this project.
Is it too loud? Does anyone want to start with a question or a feedback or a sensation, a feeling from watching the piece yesterday? No? Oh, you didn't see the show.
I ask you why you don't see the show. No.
See. No question. Ah, yes. Yes.
I thought the show was amazing yesterday, and it was so good to hear voices that we don't hear enough, actually. We read a lot about those people, but we don't hear from those people enough. And I thought it was amazing, and thank you for bringing it to the festival.
Hello. You just said that you visited the people but didn't want to make a film. Then you made a film, and then you made a theater performance. What did drive you to do this and to present the film in the frame of a performance on stage?
When I go there, I had in my mind a project to do something with these people, but was not the idea in the beginning a film, you know. And then after that, I say, how can I bring this to the people? The camera was for me is something to can help the people, and I put just the camera on the refugee center, and I go to start to film the people, and then I was a lot of thinking, how can I bring this to the people? And then I make this film. The first performance I make it in the refugee center without film. I open the door of the refugee center and I invite people from the center, like audience. I say, welcome to the refugee center to meet the people. What you see in the film was live in the refugee center. And I make just a contact directly with the refugee center and the audience, and like an open discussion about what do we need in the new life. That was the question. Everybody say, I need paper just to start my life. I need paper. And then I bring a lot of paper to the refugee center. If you see the scenography of it is a lot of paper I bring, and I say, this is paper. You can get it. Make your identity. And if you look to your identity, you say pictures. But the people don't have identity in this moment, and I give a lot of identity of the people, just faces. I mean, I want to give just paper to the people because people now just wait for the paper, and this I give this way, and I make this way because it's very. I work a lot of with the video, I make a lot of video interviews in my performance a lot. And this is also for me very important to share to share with the people. It is not about media. You see, yesterday is like a big television, but the true television is not the media. What you say about the refugee people, how you speak about just bad things about refugees, but I meet a lot of people, artist people, doctors with the big high diplomas, but you never hear these people. You hear just the very bad story about the refugees, and this is the way what I will to bring to the world of this performance.
There was a question in one of the feedback forms. I'm here. I know, I could be anywhere. Which was, have you continued to be in contact with any of the subjects of the film, any of the people that you interviewed?
Yes. I have contact with the people, and I help also some people. For example, if you are looking for advocate of a lawyer, of translate from Arabic to the Flemish, to the another language. I help people to find a way sometimes, because some people till now waiting for a paper. Some people have a paper now, and some people have a negative and go to the another country. But I have contact with the people. When I was in the center, also I help people for a different ways. I say people want to go to the Louvre Museum, for example, to see Mona Lisa. I take the people to the Mona Lisa. Some people want to swim. I go with the people, go to swim, to the cinema, like that. I just listen to the people. I give just time to listen to the people, what you want in this moment. And my contact is very, what can I do for the people? I just to listen. It's a big thing for me just to listen to the people a lot. This is what I can do.
Hello. I noticed that throughout the film, the only non-male voices that we heard throughout the film were the ones of the person who worked in the library or the children. And I was wondering how that came about, if that was just a reflection of the demographic of the people that you met, or whether that was a decision that you made, or how that happened, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. The woman was a little afraid to be to filming eigenlijk. The woman don't want to film in the film because it's very dangerous for the life of the woman, because she was a little bang on them. They were more afraid to appear on camera. But I have a lot of women spoke with a lot of women, but don't want the camera, and I have respect for that. Just to say, okay, no problem, but you can come to the room and we spoke a lot with the women, but please don't filming, and I have a lot of respect for that. For the children, yes, I play with the children, I eat with the children, I give a lot of energy with these children, and this child after 2 weeks told me, Papa, you are Papa. But I was really in shock. I don't understand what means that. And then I asked that, she don't have a Papa in the refugee center. And this night, I cannot sleep in the refugee center. It was me a question about, is this reality, or is it like dream of I don't know what I do in this space. And then I say, yes, I am Papa. No, I am not Papa. Yes, I am Papa. But after 6 weeks, I say bye to the children, and she say, bye, Papa. But she don't understand what means also Papa in this moment. Papa is iemand die geeft aandacht en liefde voor een kind.
Daddy is someone who just gives attention and spends time with them.
Yeah, this is for me is like also not a child. This is for me that's voice of women also to need some attentions. Somebody can help for this. Yeah, the surrealistic moment was in my life. Really, I don't know what I can do with this moment. And after that, I asked the mother, where is the Papa? She said, Papa is in the war is dead, and she is born in the same time. This is also the question about death in life. she was very happy to get a new life from the papa, and the papa is yeah, yes. And it was a lot of women but don't want to filming.
I wanted to ask you all the time, like saying like these people doesn't have an identity. Then you gave the papers for them to search for the identity. So I became a little bit like, I don't know, like concerned about that. From my point of view as a privileged European white person, that I think that's very important to put on the table. I think that the way I have to help the people is you lose my identity, not to get an identity. So in that case, I'm really interested to ask you, you know, one that hasn't had those privileges most of the people here have had during our lives, like, what would you think would be the solution? Like the identity solve the problems of these people? Will it be a passport from Belgium? Will it be a passport from the place we are from? You know what? Not being from anywhere. What's that identity like you? Because for me, it's really hard, like to find which identity will be like the solution, like really.
This really to identity for me to give some something can working can go outside this center, give life, just not to give like a paper to put in your portemonnaie, you know. The people now can do nothing, just waiting for go to happen in his life, and people in this moment is very special moment in his life that have nothing. She don't know go right, left, back, lost everything. Just in this moment, I mean, I am human in this moment, and I don't have why I cannot go to school, why I cannot go to working, why I cannot go to do that, why I cannot do that. And the people why you come to Europe also to find save life, you know. A lot of people I met because the war come to Europe, and some people I made to lost family, and some people made I to lost everything. And how can I get it a new identity in his life? For me, identity is kind of start a new life, not just paper. And I give the people, why I was in the refugee center, I give people energy. I give people, I say, what do you think if you have paper? What you got to do? I don't want to speak about past life. I like to about the future, literally. And maybe imagination, or for me, imagination maybe is identity for the people. I want to give that for the people. You have imagination, you can imagination that you have a paper. You can start to learn the language. Don't wait to the paper. To learn the language and don't wait to paper. You can start to working for yourself. How can I start a new life? They like that for me.
Performing in a context like a festival like this, where very, let's say, generally left-wing, liberal, who is the audience that you want to reach with this work? And are you able to reach that audience? Because it will always be the question whenever we have this sort of work of reaching people who are already in agreement, who are moved by these stories. But how is there a process of you seeking out different audiences, and which audiences may then have an impact on the lives of these refugees?
Ja, dus hij zegt, als je zo naar deze soort van festivals komt en zo, ja, publiek is sowieso, heeft de mentaliteit om met die dingen bezig te zijn en om emoties te hebben daarvoor. Maar heb je een manier om andere mensen met de voorstelling te bereiken die misschien niet zo'n open gedachte hebben over het
between politic and poetic is a lot of things. I mean, I am artist. I would like to make a poetic things from the politic things. How can I transformation that? And I will try also. A lot of people, for example, in Belgium, or in Holland, or in another country, in Germany, and so, see the performance. She said, refugee. I was thinking refugee cannot say something poetic after the performance, you know. It was for me very big question. She thinking about refugee is just a simple, I am refugee, I cannot sing him. For example, some people think refugee cannot singing, or refugee cannot dancing, of refugee cannot. And this is for me very important to share that with everybody, to understand that refugee is like you and like me and like another person.
I want to add one part to that, which is, and this is a question I think that we, as this sort of audience, by watching a piece like yours, sometimes we can feel, we've done our job. We've done our bit. By watching and engaging and feeling, we say, okay, I understand. But actually, we don't act. And there's a question of, and there's a moment when you're at the back and you come forwards to speak and you will go back. And you come forwards and you keep on going. And I wonder who you're speaking to or who you're not speaking to, because you come to perform and you come to... But at the same time, there is a lack of action. And it made me reflect on our lack of action, because we go, by watching this, my job is done. I've done my job as a left liberal person because I felt things. But actually, we don't do anything, or we don't do enough. So I just wonder if, when you're coming back and forth, who are you not speaking to?
This is seen as really 10 years ago when I come to Belgium, I don't have any language and I cannot communicate it with the people. And when I want to speak, I cannot speak. And when I asked a refugee 10 years ago, that it was, I stay 6 months also in the refugee center, and I feel like een vogel zonder vleugels.
I felt like a bird without wings.
And I mean, it is between life and art. I study whole of my life art and theater.
Thank you.
Thank you. And between art and life, I was just a big question. I say, why I study art all of my life, and now I am in another life. I mean, was a lot of searching of me. How can I start a new life? And then I want to speak. I don't lost my voice. I lost everything in my life, but my voice is not lost. And then I make a performance in the refugee center, but nobody understand me also. And I want to make theater, to stay. And then after 10 years, I want to back to the refugee center, and I want to give this voice on the people and to bring this voice, because I feel it that 10 years ago. How can I speak? How can people listen to me? How can I live in normal life?
And in terms of us as an audience, just being able to watch it and stop, and that's it, what is that, in terms of that reaction? Because it gives us a way out to say, I watched this, I had this experience, I felt stuff, which is good, it makes me feel like a good person, but then I can just walk away. How does that feel? Or is that something that you notice in audiences? Or you...
Dus hij zegt, als wij als publiek kijken, dan die voelen alsof we geluisterd hebben naar die mensen. En dus voelen wij ons goed over onszelf en denken wij, dus we hebben iets goed gedaan, want we hebben geluisterd en we hebben emoties gehad. Maar daarna, in het leven, hebben we geen concrete actie om hun te helpen of iets te doen. En dus hij vraagt, wat vind je daarvan als dat veel mensen in het publiek denken dat ze iets gedaan hebben gewoon door te komen kijken?
Ja, ik ga in Vlaams, sorry. Hoeft niet om iets te doen, also. Ik bedoel, hoeft niet om iets te doen.
Action is not necessary.
So, just to know how you worked in the performative way. I mean, you on stage in relationship with the video. Because sometimes I felt like you were kind of improvising, but then I was curious about the way you developed the performative part. So like the monkey mask or the singing or the crawling with the papers. And what does it add to the video on your point of view?
Hoe heb jij gewerkt aan de performance? En was je aan het improviseren of niet? En wat is volgens jou de meerwaarde van wat jij doet in relatie tot het
It was not improvisation. It was like I do that every performance, but sometimes I discover a new things when I in the stage, a new space, because this was big space, and also the timing was a little longer. It was, I say sorry for the festival, and because I was feeling in this moment I need space also to get it, to understand, to what is in big stage. It is not so like, okay, I was not thinking about timing, because the people on the refugee center also don't have the timing. Timing is like, there's no time. I don't know when I get the paper. There's no time, it's losing time. And was the same feelings like that. And when I present this performance, normally I speak in the beginning of the performance. But in this moment, I was feeling of I cannot speak. I will back to the original idea. I cannot speak 10 years ago. And I just in the beginning story about the painting. Some people want to speak about war in the refugee center, but I don't like to speak about war. And then the book, I make a lot of painting about the soul, what is means soul, and then I make painting how create a new soul. And then the frame is about the painting of Mona Lisa. I say in the performance, I am more beautiful than Mona Lisa. And then after that, the mask, yes, it is nobody asks the animals where are you from. I mean, I was when I came in Belgium. Ik hoopte dat ik een dier ben. How can I say?
I wished that I was an animal.
That nobody can ask me why you come here, what do you do, that like that. I was just to enjoy the life. Yes, I have it 3 words in my life when I come to Belgium, and then just I want to start a new life, and nobody to answer me about the past. It's happened, it's finished. I want just to stay and to start a new life. And this is every feelings was in the beginning to start, and then yes, and then the curtains and like that. It's like the soul, like the soul to looking to the new life, and this is what I want to make this your soul every time looking for a new life.
Thank you very much. I think we're going to move on to punk. Bathangi Khaled.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's go punk with Paula, Rosalind, and Haptic Hide. Just give you guys one of those. Again, could you just tell us a little bit about who you are as a company, as artists, and the context for the show, how you made it, how long you spent, etc. You know, what was the process of making the show, why make the show, etc.
So, hello everybody. Well, my name is Paula Rosalind. I'm a choreographer and I'm based in Frankfurt. I know it can be worse, but no, in Germany. Yes. So, yeah, my company is a structure, so it's not real like a full-time company with dancers working, but as a project-based company, so it serves as a flexible structure to tour and produce shows, basically. Is supported by the city, and so this is the base is Frankfurt, and then we travel. And for this project, I invite the team to join, and this team has the particularity that they never worked together before. So none of us had worked together before, and not only for me, but between them, and not even the musicians. So I brought everybody together, and that was fun. So just coming back about me, I'm based originally. I'm born in Argentina, but I've been living in Frankfurt, studied there, and did my master's and blah blah blah, and then I stayed. Because of the possibility that offers the city to create a structure and work there. It's not the same being in Berlin. It could be more fun, but there is other possibilities to have a continuity on the work. Since 2013, I'm producing works at Musonturm. It's an artist house. And so I start working from there and start touring. So basically that's the structure. Then this is the work. Punk has been created 2018, just about this time. So it's exactly 1 year old. And the process of working was about 6 weeks. For research in Greece, in Athens, and Sofia, and in Frankfurt. And with the musicians, with Nikki and Nico, we work for 3 weeks, correct? And so at the beginning, we start kind of sending music, or I was sending them some material of movement, and so it was a kind of a ping-pong situation. But then during the 3 weeks, we start developing actually very much together. The material together. Douglas, the tall dancer, he replaced one dancer that I was not really happy with. And so, he jumped in for like 3 weeks before the show. So that was a little bit of the process. So why punk? Maybe that's was also a bit of about that. I just referred also to other works that have been creating that is trying to search for topics that I'm not only that I'm interested or curious about, that are familiar to most of the people, so that there is kind of an anchor in the culture or in the so that everyone has a little bit of a connection. Most of my motivation is because dance is a difficult topic in a way, so to attract also audience. I just don't want to make work just for artists. Sorry, I know that we're many of us here, but also for just normal people who just try to attract them to come to the theater and watch a show. It's not only, of course, it's not only for them. It's also my own motivation that I like to see a variety of people on the audience, and also being an audience, I get tired of self-reflecting problems of the dance world. I mean, for me, it's too short or too small in that term. And 2 years ago, I was here with a production called Aerobics, a ballet in 3 acts. We show only 30 minutes and with 5 people instead of 7. But that was also dealing with a pop culture, or like with something that for most of people know or practice or had a relationship with, and how to bring that sort of language, body, into a theater space, but also how can I give another side or another point of view to that material and bring it to a new structure. And this time it's aerobic movement, but like this is the steps, and brought it into a structure of a 3-act ballet. And then same for me, even if it's like the structure this time for the show was actually the dramaturgy of the music that is kind of going from proto-punk to post-punk to techno in a way, of like a history line of the evolution of the music. So this is actually what gives a little bit of the dramaturgy to the piece, and try to approach with the body. And a new different way for me is the way that I've been actually working, which was very methodic in terms of selecting material, cataloging the material, and giving a name, and creating phrases and putting into a structure. And this was like impossible, because even if you choose a pogo stick, you cannot really choreograph. I mean, you could try, and that's the thing about like trying to choreograph something that is kind of impossible, because it has its own direction, or choosing directions, and you can't. And therefore also for me was a nice element to bring in, because it's kind of uncontrollable. Yeah, so.
It's a good start. Does anyone want to start off with a question? Then I will. When I saw the title Punk and the text about Johnny Rotten, and the thing about punk is it feels that it is accessing anarchy and an anarchic state, and yet then you are performing anarchy and you're performing punk. My question all the way through was where does punk stop? Because punk never stops. It feels like it's kick enough. It's never punk enough. And it's a question that, how do you rehearse punk? And doesn't punk lead rehearsal and improvise? And how do you choreograph something that demands anarchy and wants anarchy and goes beyond anything that you rehearse? The concerts that we saw, the songs, I am an anarchy, it is punk, it seems to be a form that says fuck form. So how was it working for you? And do you feel there are moments when you access punk, and there are moments when you haven't reached punk, or moments that you go beyond punk? As a starter question.
So it was a lot of questions in one question, but I tried to address it, and maybe like someone, I have a magic touch. Okay.
You could both talk. No, it's fine. You could both, but everyone.
Okay. Hello. I think it's just, yeah. Anyway, if you said about the title, and the title, if you see the title, is an interrobang, which is the combination of a question mark and exclamation mark. So that is actually what you say. It's about also questioning what that is, or what the process, or even if you say, okay, when Johnny Rotten said that, actually punk was over, because punk had a name, and punk is actually, it was all but that in terms of, was also what came before. And as soon as it gave, had a form, a specific form, it was over. Then it remains what you said, it's never ending. It's because of punk, everything changed after that. So it's actually how music or fashion or even poetry, everything had an impact in society, or it kind of contaminate everything in a way, in a way that music was just has never been the same afterwards. So yeah, so it's the process. One of the particular things that for me was interesting was that punk is energy also. So also we work with that factor in all term, and how to try to keep that energy, or the idea of the 2 minutes, how to make 2 minutes of continue choreography. In a way, we had different trials, and of course we failed also, things that it didn't came into the piece. And we remain actually with very simple choreography at the end, because it didn't make sense or worked out. Or there is also there is not only about punk, but also what influences punk, or how punk came as not only as a social movement, fashion, whatever, but what are the influence or the roots of the punk, like coming from skank, and therefore there is a skanking element into the choreography. Also, what Stefan and Cindy were dancing, which is steps coming from skanking, put it into a choreography. So actually they had several layers. So it's not only the music, but it's also about dance history a little bit, and trying to trace parallels, because actually I'm like looking from my perspective, which is trained as a dancer and choreography, and it's just my perspective to the topic. So tracing this kind of parallels, what could I find, and how Pina Bausch could be suddenly considered punk from this perspective, in a way, from the historical perspective of thinking things that were happening at the same time. So maybe I'm missing some of the question. Maybe you can refresh me.
No, a lot of that was there. I guess it's just a question, when you were making it, was a question, is this punk enough?
The thing is, like, we were not trying to be punk.
Right.
We were just, because kind of it's not our, like, I grew up in Argentina, there were the Totenhosen and the Ramones were super big there, or there were, Deutsche Amerikanische Freundschaft. I mean, like, there were bands that I grew up, I was like kind of, I was way too young for that. But still, also what it's very particular about that is that every place had a totally different approach. In Germany, people were like, yeah, but where are the, how you call it, Mohawks? It's not all the places that you have Mohawks. So there's people like having different expectations about that, but it's very, very personal. It's like, I don't know, Patti Smith is considered punk, but it's like, it's very different it's very personal in a way, the approach in a way.
So when you're performing it in different places...
The response is totally
different. The
different.
response is, because British punk is, there's a thing where the Brits go, punk is this, and it's that.
Yeah, but it's actually, what about the Ramones, and what about
So the question is, what is it like to perform it in different places, and what have the different responses been?
Yeah, the tour is continuing, so this is the first time touring abroad. And the response, of course, has been very different than what we have been, like the response in Germany. Different, not better or worse, but just different. Like people were laughing more, but maybe it's British humor, So yeah, that's the thing that is very personal. Yeah. Yeah, but again, we were not trying to be punk, but it's kind of like, even from the music perspective, when I bring together Nikki and Nico, Nikki was coming more like, is coming from more thank you. Synthesizers, music, or Nico is more from 70s rock and roll. Yeah, so kind of bringing them together. How do you approach that with your own background? It's not about trying to copy something that already exists in the past, but trying to, with those elements, how do you create something new that is new for you, but still kind of has those elements, and what could you create with that? Yeah.
There are some minimum structures in punk itself that you can follow, because even having a little bit of music just force you to have a minimal structure. So when we started studying the elements to use and everything, even this kind of anarchy, seeing it from today, it started like showing its own kind of structure. So we got some elements from there to follow. So it wasn't so anarchic in its shape. I mean, that was also like helpful in many ways.
Would anyone like to feedback? Yep.
Yeah, I was just curious about the Pina Bausch icon, that show. So the question would be, how did it come to your mind to use her as an icon in this show? And also I was wondering if it's something that you, as German-based artist, has to deal with, like this huge oral heritage that you have to somehow destroy, and I don't know.
I'm just trying to remember how that came with the Pina Bausch, but it's like trying to, as I said before, trying to follow a historic line in dance, not only as we follow with the we follow a kind of a historic line, trying to put bands or like songs for that we really wanted to work with that material, and tracing the same line, the same historical line in dance. Of course, in this case, Pina came before. It's like kind of a prologue in a way, where he breaks the chair. Now I'm gonna comment a little bit that it's not our chair, because we had some other preparations. Our bag got lost, and the pogos didn't appear until the day before, and it was like very, very. So the moment kind of the breaking the chairs were kind of okay. Now it starts. Now it's. So it's kind of, Pina is very present, but Pina also gets transformed. Actually, the idea is gets into Iggy Pop at the end. So basically, it's kind of try to connect those kind of characters. So what could have in common these two personas in a way? So we were playing around this. And of course, the tradition with Pina Bausch is very strong, and whatever you do, it suddenly is dance theater. It's like dance theater, even if it's like, well, no, this is maybe not, but it will be, of course, named as that. So, of course, there is I'm not the first one picking up Pina to make it is, of course, there. But as I say, it's not the only material that it got there. It's just because of the timeline that we were working on that it came so strong also, and and the transformation of the character, because I normally work with more people on stage. And you have budget question. We started kind of like saying like, oh, but I need more people, and like saying like, Stefan, like, okay, but then kind of like trying to create more roles or bringing the musicians on stage, and that was kind of the strategy of getting more and more, like seemed that we are more people. And that was actually when we were creating in Frankfurt, or when we were in Frankfurt, like suddenly the people were like, but how, are you only 4? But like, how happened? You're like 6? Like the sensation whether we were more on stage or we were more people working. But this is kind of things that happen also during the process to work with that elements that of course that are present there because of being also German. I study also in Germany, so they are there, and how to address them, but also address other topics at the same time.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Hello. I wanted to ask you, because when I'm making a dance piece or a theater piece, I'm always worrying about like not making the music like more powerful than the scenic material itself. And sometimes I felt like yesterday, not that the choreography was not strong enough, but the music was so strong that from time to time it overcome the choreography, the physical stuff. So I was just wondering, how do you feel as a creator about this? Like, is that a problem for you, or do you say
not at all?
Not at all. You feel?
Yeah, it's not at all, and I was kind of. Therefore, also the choreography is quite simple, and I'm super aware of that. I mean, if we have been with aerobics here last time, and there was no music, especially because music can be very, as you say, dominating, manipulative, and commenting on what you're doing. So I'm super aware on that, and therefore I decided to remove all the music and do only a dance with just amplified steps, and that's it. So therefore, this time it's like, yeah, punk. Like you can, it's about music. Also, it's like I always wanted to do like kind of a concert in a way. So for me, it's kind of the dance is there to create a whole thing, and it's not about dance. Therefore, I mean, originally I don't even quote myself like in the credits. I'm not even as a choreographer normally. It's just a good direction, because I'm not, like I just don't care. I mean, dance for me in general, dance is an element. It's not the main goal. For me, it's just a nice dance. Doesn't mean anything to me. I don't mind if it's more technique. I don't care. Therefore, I kind of always like to work with different body types or characters on stage. That's much more to me interesting than just a pretty dance. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any more? Anybody? No? That's good, because actually that's our time anyway. Perfect. Thank you very much. I asked it. It's there. It was the first question. Okay. Manolo is going to talk to Sotterraneo, but before that, who has a question for One Shot? Because what we're going to do is we're going to write them, then I'm going to take photos and send them to them as a company so they can see the photos. So if you want to ask them a question, raise your hand and I'll come and give you a piece of paper or a comment and a pen. And then we'll take photos and send them those questions so that they can answer them. Anyone else want to ask One Shot anything or make a comment to One Shot? Okay. Okay, anybody else? They've already answered one question, so it is working. And then I'll play their answers on my phone to the microphone. It's high tech, guys. It's super high tech. Manolo, over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Daniel. Okay, so yeah, we are gonna try to comment the show we saw first in the festival, the show that opened the festival. So that's Dies Irae from Teatro Sotterraneo, and we have here Claudio, who's gonna tell us a little bit about the show. Please.
Yes, I'm Claudio. I'm part of Sotterraneo, which is theater collective based in Florence, Italy. We are 3 normally, but Sara and Daniele had to go back to Italy this afternoon, so I'm alone here. But we normally work together and create the shows together. So it means like talking, arguing, fighting a lot before reaching to a performative material to put on stage, which is cool, but is also terrible at the same time. But I mean, whoever works in a collective knows this pretty well. And the show was created in 2009, and we stopped touring it in 2013. But then Isla and Miguel, that saw it like years ago, asked us to a lot of time to bring it here in BIFF Festival, and then finally, since we didn't want to do it anymore, they asked us to restage it with a Spanish cast, and 2 of the cast are here, Alvaro and Rebecca. And so that basically is, we decided to, well, we had an audition in February in Madrid. We took 4 people and we restaged it in 2 weeks rehearsals, more or less. And that's why we are here. The show, yes, it's from 2009, but at the same time, one of the reasons because we decided to join Isla and Miguel's invitations was that we felt it could still speak to the present, and so I mean I do hope it does. And that's it about the whole stuff, the process, and why we did it.
Okay, does anyone want to ask something or to add some comments or to any feelings, sensations about the show?
Maybe it's not a really special question, but I would be interested how you work, because I felt that the show was extremely put on the point from the dramaturgy. And I was wondering, how does one work on construction or something like this? You say it's like 5 chapters about mankind or the fundamental things, and you have so many things in which are like a red file through everything, but on the other hand, each chapter also puts a different perspective, so it's really... or in terms of literature, I would say it's really especially well written. So how did you do it?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very happy to hear that, because yes, for us it's very important that even if shows can appear very like with a lot of stuff and a lot of random stuff, then we try to have a real clear point of view on everything, and we really try to select among the thousands of materials that come out from the rehearsals the things that are really needed for the shows. So basically the process is like I forgot to mention that when we created the show in 2009, we were 5 in the collective, so even more terrible that it is now in 3. And but the process is quite the same now. So we basically decide a field, a theme on which we want to investigate about, and we start reading and watching movies, watching TV series, going to art expositions and stuff, and then we share like what we've read, creating like a common vocabulary about the topic. And then we start sharing ideas about how these materials could be put on stage and how we could work on them. And we start improvising, we record the improvisation with a camera, we watch them again, and we fight about, I like this, I like this, I like this, this nothing has to deal with the show, yes, but we could change the topic a little bit so that this can fit the show. And that is basically the process of the rehearsals. And then there is Daniele, who is the dramaturg, the proper dramaturg. Who's the one who writes the texts. But again, sometimes what he writes comes from improvisation. Sometimes it's something that he thought about it and wrote it, and we adjusting, like, okay, I don't like this, I wouldn't say it like this, I would prefer it like that. So it's also a like collaborative work. And then a lot comes from working on stage and adjusting, and okay, then in this case there was a lot of working about this fucking countdown, so everything had to stay in that 60 minutes. And so about these shows, a lot of was about how to do it in time, and so a lot of work comes from the stage. So we also had to cut a lot of stuff that couldn't fit in this timing, and that's it. And then when we have the materials that sometimes at the beginning can be like very different, we try to find elements that can put them together, like little references and stuff that can make the whole show smooth in terms of rhythms and topics and things. And that basically is, I hope I answered your question.
And what was the reason for the 60 minutes? Only to put you under pressure?
I guess in a general way, I can say that we like working on time and rhythm, but in terms of this show, I think, and also in general, it's about the thing of being here and now, which is what theater can do differently from cinema and other kind of entertainment. Using the word entertainment in his highest meaning, not just TV entertainment. So it's like keeping the people inside. And so it's about to always remind, okay, we are here and now. These are really 60 minutes, and at the end of them, the show will end. This didn't happen here in Birmingham, but it happens. It's part of the risk, and that's also the other thing. It's a kind of, a risk that I think that we put to ourselves. I think to put ourselves in a pressure situation to say, okay, we have to stay in this time, and also a way to always remind the audience, okay, it's just 20 minutes, just 15 minutes. So we also, in the show, we always play about this, okay, we have just 5 minutes, and then we have to speed the auction because otherwise we won't fit in the time. And basically, since the show is about like, mankind, archaeology and stuff, mentioning the time and having it always visible was like a reference to a bigger time, the time of history and mankind and that.
I, in a way, interpreted it and thought it's the 1 hour, the future is still long.
Okay. And everyone can interpret it like he or she wishes, so cool.
There was a question from the feedback forms, which you've almost answered, but how has this changed? How's the show changed over the last 10 years? Performing it, revisiting it?
Actually, when we saw the video again, we were thinking about how to change something in terms of simplification, I would say, because there are maybe things that we wouldn't do now in terms of stage changing certain rhythms. But then when we started working with the actors, then we felt that that was quite okay. And so we didn't feel the urge of changing much. And again, we felt that the show could still speak for itself, so we didn't feel that we needed to update it. There are some little like vintage stuffs like the telephone book or the disposable cameras. But still, I mean, they are not so important to the point of the show. So I guess it hasn't changed that much. Just that sometimes it was hard to, because of course it's not just to pass it to other actors, but to make them embody the show. So it's not just for Louise to be me or for Rebecca to be Sarah, but just finding a different way to do that thing on stage. And that's it. I was very happy last day. 2 days ago, we were talking with a member of the audience who told us that some parts of the show made him think about the tragedy that's happening now in Italy, and not also in Italy, about migrants. So the first episode and the last one reminds him of this violence, and this black flooring remind him about like a Black Sea. But of course the show is from 2009, and of course this tragedy was already there, but not as present and as it's now. So this made us reflect on how the show can also speak to the present in a different meaning. So, yeah.
For example, we don't use those disposable cameras anymore, but another member of the audience told us that remind him that when he used to use those when he was young, and now we keep, consuming all these technical stuff, we throw them away, while we might be doing greater things, for example, taking pics of the human anatomy. So we are taking pictures of ourselves, of the body and the voice and everything, with these disposable things. So that remind him that, and he saw that, we didn't. I mean, or I didn't, but this member of the audience did. So.
Thank you very much for the show. I really enjoyed. Just how the song Hallelujah, how you choose that?
Actually, thanks for the question, because Hallelujah, the meaning of the words is like praise originally to God. Of course, we don't care about God, but for us it's like, the whole show is about what humankind has made, like in a horrible way in history, but also how, we can join, and be together during a show, and how we are messy and horrible and loving and incredible at the same time as species. And so Hallelujah is like to say we praise all those stuff, the bad and the good, and the evil and the good stuff. And so Hallelujah is just to say, okay, thanks for this messy human beings we are. So even if the show can appear a little bit dark in some moments, especially in the end, then Hallelujah for us is to say, okay, we are as we are, but we also have to praise this.
Then it's me having a question for you. Because I've seen 3 of your shows already, Homo Ridens and then the Be Legend I saw in Alcalá. And I feel like you have some kind of very clear position against theatrical representation, or in the way you are like working in your. So it's my question. I just wanted to know if it's like that. You have any kind of manifesto, or even when you began, you tried to, or you there was a kind of aesthetical positioning in front of the theatrical ways of working, or not, or it's been developing through the years, or even if it's not that manifesto, what would you say would be the common things in all your works? You know what I mean? Like the aesthetical points of the company.
No, I wouldn't say we have a manifesto. We normally try to avoid any kind of manifesto or dogmas. even if recently we've stepped into the Milo Rau manifesto about his programming in Belgium, and we've been discussing about that, about how a manifesto can be important nowadays in making theater in some way. But that's more about him being a director of a public structure in Belgium. So for us as creators, I think it's important for us not to put any kind of border, any kind of manifesto, any kind of dogma. So I wouldn't say we're against representation. I think we just like to play with representations. Sometimes in our show there are moments in which we do represent stuff. I don't know, of course, always in between presentation and representation, that's the way we always like to talk about our work since the very beginning. So sometimes you can step into something that is pure, like a scene, but normally there is always something that reminds you that we are still there acting, that it's all fake, and that you don't have to believe that. But at a certain point, at the same point, I don't think that you need to represent something to make the audience believe that. I stand with Diderot saying that the point is to be able to fake it so much that it seems real. So it's more about technique and how you are able to fake something than to embody something, to feel something. And so no, it's just that we like playing with the meaning of the theater. And so theater means like being, again, here and there with an audience, and there's no fourth wall at all, because there's not, unless you built it. And so, I mean, we just like to play, again, with the highest meaning of this word, to play with the audience, to play with all the means that theater can give you. And so breaking the representation is just a way to play more, but again, it's just a tool. So sometimes we step into representation, sometimes we stay out, according to what's best for the show in that moment.
Yeah, I think you cannot avoid representation like 100%. It's impossible.
No,
like
and we also, I mean, love to go and see great like stage production with characters and stories and Chekhov and Shakespeare. But then, just when we do it, it doesn't come to our mind. It just comes out differently.
Other questions? Yes.
I just wanted to, well, thank you for making it happen. And as the actors, how is to perform such a precise, because it's almost like a music partition, this piece. So because of the countdown too, how is to perform a piece that has to feel to the outside, to the public, that it's, there's a flow, but at the same time you have the countdown at all moment in your mind going, oh gosh, we're a minute late. How do you manage that as performers between the four of you?
It's a nightmare. No, it's I mean, it's been really fun. Like, we've never done something like this. So, as you said, it's kind of a choreography. So at the beginning we were like really, really worried all the time about the countdown and rushing things and just going to the mark. And as the process was like developing, I like realized that I had to forget about the time. And of course, in between chapters, you have to have a look and everything, but you have to embody it, like that time, that choreography, and then just worry about being in the moment, doing the action, and being with your colleague actors. And it's really about teamwork, really about teamwork, and it's really different. And I mean, at least for me as an actress, I really like to have things under control. So it's been good for this show, and it's been like at least it's been as well like a nightmare at times, but I think it's like a rhythm as well, as Claudio said, and it's I've learned a lot as well, and I really thank them because it's been really easy to work with them, like really easy, and yeah.
Yeah, it's great fun in a way, but also we have to always keep this balance among having fun and telling the story. So yeah, maybe embodying it is the best way to do it, because we shouldn't be depending on what the number says, but what we're doing in every episode. We're struggling to get to that fluidity. I'm sure we'll get there, because of course it's a play that I think grows with every show, with every representation or presentation. Yeah.
Yeah, really, sorry, highlight the teamwork. It's really important, because everything depends on the other person. And you gotta have different options depending on what can happen. And we have to be all together listening to what is happening at all times and what my partner needs and what do I need. And so there's like a communication all the time. It is great.
Not only on stage, but also backstage. When we're preparing for the next episode, we really have to teamwork also in the dark, in the wings, checking if the other person is already clean and the shirt is on and the props are in their position.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, and when we are performing, if, for example, I can communicate with the other person, you have to communicate it on stage in a way, like maybe rushing a little bit or doing things in another way, and then the other person gets it, but without any kind of communication, like verbally. So it's good, different and challenging.
Thank you.
Is there a last question? Or we move to the last show? Yep. Shall we? Do you have already answers? So. I have some answers. Okay, so let's make the technical stuff and clap the Sotterraneo people.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting. Exactly. So, there was a question which was, what? This is one shot. Axes. So the question was, or the comment was, loved it, but I was sat next to an excited and scared 3-year-old. Is that your 3-year-old? How does the audience interaction work in different places? So the answer, oh no, that didn't work, hang on. This is ridiculous. Why are you not making any noise? No? My phone isn't making any noise. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, we'll go back.
Yes, but no, 60 minutes, no. I think just the...
So the thing,
Yeah.
well, currently it's not.
Yeah.
Currently it's not making any noise.
Yes.
It's possible they didn't record. It's not making. It's not this.
Traveling now in September and back in Madrid.
No, I don't think so. Oh, yeah, okay. I also need my phone back for the other bits. Miguel. All right, we're coming. It's going to happen. Okay, they wrote some answers down as well. No? Okay. Great. My phone's broken. Lovely. Okay. What? Okay. We'll see. There was a question about, this is the short version of the show, what happens in the other 15 minutes? And the answer was, in the other 15 minutes, Foucault is doing beatboxing while I'm dancing with the big axe. And Maxime, the taller guitarist, he also spends more time with 2 axes on his head running around the space. That's what happens in the extra 15 minutes. There were lots of questions about the relationship with the audience because they made the show for street theatre. And so the question is, what's it like to perform inside a theatre? What are the differences? So yesterday they were saying that it was because the walls were so close that there was extra tension. If it was in a big space but there were no walls behind, they've done that before, and there was less tension, but there was the feeling that we were all trapped in this space with axes flying, that they felt that there was more tension here than they normally would have in a performance because people felt like there was no space behind them. And I imagine with street theatre it's the same because it's outdoors. Even though the relationship and the size of the circle is exactly the same, the fact that there was a wall behind us made us more tense. But they also wanted to know how the audience felt and how people lived the fact of the show, how people experienced it. So if you want to comment on your experience of that, then I will record that and we can send it back to them. It's not too much, we're going to try.
I said to you already yesterday that this performance was very stressful, but I think what made it feel quite safe at the same time was that it has a certain amount of ease in it. And
it's been done many, many times, and I think all the axes and the climbing and the skill there is definitely, amazing, and the choreography on the pole and all of that is second to none. It's very impressive. But I think I felt as though I wanted to see some sort of difficulty, not just in skill, but I suppose in that relationship, also how maybe problematizing that sort of demonstration of men being good at doing things, and that relationship I wanted to see taken apart a bit more, I suppose.
Anybody else want to leave them a comment? Anyone else? They're listening to them as we speak. So maybe there'll be a response. I'll ask them can you respond to the last question? Only one of them is driving. The other one has 3 axes on his head. Yeah? Yeah, that was the thing that we couldn't hear. I'm going to try it again. Yeah. Also, let's fucking call. Oh. Salut. Salut, Maxime. Hello. It's not connecting. There's a problem with WhatsApp. It's not connecting. +32 49 41 58 102. Hello? We tried. We've tried really hard. The answer to the circus in the apple part is that it's a simple game of two characters challenging themselves. They play like children would do. The axe throwing is just the continuation and the evolution of this child game. So that was an answer to what do you think about the drama and how do you combine it in your piece? No, that's not the answer. Hang on. That's the wrong question. Oh, that was, dear One Shot, how do you feel about circus element in the piece regarding fragments of apple? I mean, how relevant do you feel that it is to the success of the piece? So the answer was, that was the answer. For the circus and the apple part, it is a simple game. The two characters are challenging themselves to do. They play like children would do. The axe throwing is just the continuation of the evolution of this childish game. And then my phone has problems, sorry. I will just say, salut Maxime, on n'a pas pu écouter le premier message. On ne sait pas pourquoi, mais si tu peux essayer de le renvoyer, on réécoute. Le premier message où tu dis que c'est en implosion, on n'a pas pu écouter. Alors s'il te plaît, renvoie. Merci. Mais aussi WhatsApp est foutu ici. Any other comments for them? I mean, it's not recording. It's their fault for not being here. Anything else? People can come and find me any point in the night. I just leave them a message. And any more answers? And shall we send them a big applause? 3, 2. Actually, I was recording 3, 2, 1. Merci.